Imagine you're in a high school physics class, and your teacher has given you an extra credit assignment. You must create a structure that will hold an egg, where the structure can be dropped 15 feet without breaking the egg. What kind of structure could you build? How about a wooden box filled with straw? Or maybe a cotton pillow with the egg sewed inside? Or how about a plastic container filled with water? These are 3 different ideas that all might work better or worse, but to come up with 3 ideas, you had to be creative. This lesson focuses on what creativity is and how it is related to different types of thinking. The definition of creativity is the ability to come up with new, original, unique solutions to problems or ideas. We see creativity everywhere around us, such as in artist paintings, the design of buildings, or novels we read. Let's talk about what creativity really means. When trying to solve any problem, there are 2 basic ways we can think about the possible solution. These 2 types of thinking are called convergent and divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is the type of thinking we do when solving a well-defined, straightforward, correct answer to a problem. Convergent thinking is used when there's a simple, correct answer to a question. For example, what's the capital of England? The answer is London. If you knew the answer, you used convergent thinking. Creativity is not relevant to convergent thinking because you don't have to be creative to know the answer to this problem. All you have to do is come up with the stated factual answer. When you're in school and you take a multiple choice test, you're probably using convergent thinking. You might be supplying definitions for terms or remembering a person's name that goes with a particular theory. In contrast, divergent thinking is the type of thinking we do when solving an abstract or new problem that has many possible answers, solutions, or outcomes. Remember the beginning of this lesson when you thought about how to make a structure to protect an egg from breaking? There are many possible structures you could make, so coming up with that solution required creativity or divergent thinking. When you write a poem or story, you have an endless supply of possible characters, words to use, themes or events that might happen. So this creative process requires divergent thinking. While convergent thinking is straightforward and simple, divergent thinking is complex. It could be argued that some people are more creative than others. For example, Stephen King is a famous author of horror novels, and he's written about 50 different books. Shakespeare wrote 38 plays and over 150 sonnets or short poems. These 2 authors are surely very creative. Some psychologists have argued that creativity is one type of intelligence. Specifically, a famous psychologist named Robert Sternberg has argued that creativity requires 3 different types of intelligence. Sternberg's theory about different types of intelligence is popular in both educational psychology and cognitive psychology. Let's go through Sternberg's theory in regards to how it relates to creativity. He says that first, creativity requires synthetic intelligence, which is the ability to see or analyze a problem in a new, unique way. Second, Sternberg says that creativity requires analytic intelligence, which is the ability to analyze the relationships or associations among ideas and then apply these associations to problems. Finally, Sternberg argues that creativity requires practical intelligence, which is the ability to come up with new ideas or ways of solving a problem, based on the feedback of other people or by learning from past experience. Let's go through an example of each type of intelligence. Imagine that you're in a new, large city and you need to meet a friend, but you have no idea how to get around in the city, and you've lost the paper where your friend said where and when to meet. Synthetic intelligence requires that you see this problem in a new way. Instead of getting depressed or giving up, you could view this problem as a wonderful way to learn about this new city. Next, you need to use analytic intelligence, which requires you to think about relationships and how they can apply to this situation. You remember that the reason you and your friend became friends is because you both love visiting coffee shops that sell used books. So you can apply that association between you and your friend here, and guess that maybe your friend suggested you meet in a coffee shop with used books. Finally, you need to use practical intelligence, which is coming up with a new way of solving your problem using feedback from others or from experience. You decide that you can quickly learn about coffee shops in the area by asking a taxi driver, as they have great knowledge about local businesses. So you get in a taxi, ask the driver for some tips, go to the nearest used bookstore and coffee shop, and you see your friend. Your ability to use creativity in this example helped you to solve the problem. Maybe the most famous way to help people think in creative ways is a technique called brainstorming. When people brainstorm, they get in a group and quickly identify ideas for how to solve a problem. Brainstorming requires the group setting so that people can bounce ideas off of each other. Maybe someone else's idea will get you to think about a solution that you wouldn't have identified on your own. Brainstorming also requires that no one criticizes any ideas at this stage. The purpose of brainstorming is simply to get the creative ball rolling, so being critical at this stage will hurt the process instead of help it. Brainstorming can be used in almost any setting, such as in business meetings, in school when you're working on a group project or having a discussion in class, or even among your friends when deciding what to do with your time. In another lesson, we'll talk about how brainstorming and other forms of creativity can be used in a classroom setting by teachers to help students explore their own creativity. In summary, creativity is the ability to come up with new, original, unique solutions to problems or ideas. Creativity makes use of divergent thinking, which is solving problems with many possible solutions, as opposed to convergent thinking, which is solving problems with a single correct answer. Sternberg argued that creativity requires 3 types of intelligence, which are synthetic, analytical, and practical. Brainstorming is a common technique to help people begin the creative process.